Hello, Sarah Nickerson here, psychic medium of nextgenmedium.com. That's where I go and do my things and where you can find things about what I offer, as well as my blog and all kinds of things like that. Like I said, I'm a psychic medium intuitive, and my mission is to change humanity with three things. One is to help people with their psychic medium skills ownership. Number two is intuition integration. And number three is life purpose alignment. With these things, we're going to change the world. I like to think of it as a metaphysical integration. What is missing in your life when you feel like, is this it? What am I missing? I feel like something's not right. There's like this emptiness. It's because you're missing this whole other part of your human being. It's stuff that's not taught to us. It's stuff that we have to go kind of find on our own. Sometimes we come across the opportunity in what's called the spiritual awakening, and that can happen in many different ways and many different forms for people. And that happened for me, and that was part of my journey and why I'm here talking about this stuff. And it wasn't until I started exploring this stuff, understanding this stuff, intellectualizing what was happening in my experience and finding a way to try to explain this to other people, that I started understanding what was missing for me. And it was these three things. And they came in that sequence as well. Understanding psychic mediumship ability, understanding another way that the world functions, another reality that we are a part of. Intuition was how in the here and now of the physical world reality, how do I guide myself? Because we're so used to outside of us guiding us. We don't realize that until we have something to compare things to. And that's another reason for that psychic mediumship piece. And then that third thing of understanding your purpose, that's what your intuition is guiding you towards. So we need those three components in order for us to really integrate into our whole human being. And that's what I want to do. That's what I want to teach. And that's what I'm doing in this video. I'm going to go through the steps of the psychic medium process. I'm also going to talk a little bit about that intuition and life purpose. I want to do fuller videos on the intuition and life purpose, but for now, I'm really expanding on that psychic mediumship piece so people can get started on that now, because it's with understanding a different reality, understanding that you can access truth in a different way. That's actually a more profound truth, like really getting to what truth actually is for you, that the other things can really take place. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I'm also going to add a couple other things in here to make it more topical. One is last video I harped about Green Day's album Dookie. It's 30 years. And guess what? This year is also 30 years for Weezer's Blue album. I've just started getting into like Weezer in a very profound way that makes me, and it's so funny because I think 6 years ago is when I had my spiritual awakening, and when the world started becoming very different for me, and I started relating to it in a very different way. And now, further in my journey, I feel a connection with Weezer that I hadn't felt so much with Green Day, in sort of going through my own transformation. Green Day just came out with a great new album called Saviors. I really enjoy it. But so yay for Green Day and yay for Weezer on 30 years of this guy. This thing, I grew up with this CD in my collection, but didn't really listen to it. More recently, my daughter, she's 13, she's gotten into Weezer. Like, she's a huge Weezer fan. And I think because of her attention to it, it brought my attention to it. And now, like, I'm discovering this band that's been around forever, and I connect with them on a soul level like I haven't been able to do with Green Day. So I feel like this is one of those things where the universe is guiding you in a certain direction, you know? So I'm going to put Weezer right up here for today. Boo doo 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 doo. Right? You've been Weezered. Okay, so there's that. So congratulations to Weezer, 30 years, and still going strong. Those guys, the dad indie band. Yeah, I could go on and on about that, and maybe that would be like a separate channel that I could do, is just how much I love music and talking about music. But yeah, so there's that portion. The topic that I really wanted to expand upon, that's going to be talking more about the mission that I have going forward, has to do with what has just transpired within the past few days. And what transpired is going to connect, and the topic is going to connect with people that are into astrology, or are interested in astrology, or there's something about astrology that kind of intrigues you, that you are willing to consider as part of your truth and reality. I have to admit, I've been studying it for about a year, and I'm still trying to, I'm still waiting or anticipating a holy shit moment with astrology that kind of puts me in a different place of like, this is my truth. But I just don't feel that so much with astrology, because it's just so, it can get so granular and so complicated that you're really talking about spectrums of things when you're diving into birth charts and transits and all that stuff, that it's really hard for me to be like, oh yeah, this is real life. But there's plenty of stuff I've come across that I've been like, can't ignore that. You know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of logic here. But I thought, if people are interested in that, and I can talk about what's just transpired and how it relates directly to what I talk about, then everybody wins, right? So what did just transpire? What just transpired is that Pluto, my favorite planet that is not a planet anymore, has just gone into the sign of Aquarius. I think of that song, The Age of Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. A very hippie, song. And for it to be a hippie song, to be about Aquarius, like, that is like right on brand for kind of what we could be experiencing with Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto moves very slowly, usually remains in a sign for about 20 years. So when Pluto moves from one sign to another, it's kind of a deal. It's kind of generational, right? So where Pluto is going to be on my birth chart is going to be in lots of other people's birth charts too. And so that's why it's called like a generational planet, because it's going to be in a position that many people are going to experience. And so Pluto means, it means the same thing relatively. Everything's relative, for a large amount of people. So I was born in 1985. So there's a lot of people that are going to experience Pluto the same way I do, in that what Pluto represents is going to be the same for us, relatively speaking. So it happens every 20 years. Pluto, what does it represent? Pluto is, first of all, Pluto wasn't discovered until like 1930. I'm looking at information from Astrodientist, astro.com. And I was looking through this entry by Stefan Hofbauer about his sort of analysis of Pluto's entry into Aquarius and sort of the history and the dates and stuff like that. Pluto wasn't discovered until 1930. So we don't really have an understanding, and this gets into history and like the mechanics of astrology. Like, how did we all of a sudden decide what Pluto was supposed to mean when we didn't discover it until 1930? See, this is one of the things about astrology that I'm kind of like, I don't know. But if you want to get like real theoretical with things, maybe we didn't need the influence of Pluto until 1930. I mean, what happened in the 1930s really put the world in a completely different place, did it not? So understanding what Pluto means in the signs that it's been through so far has a reference point. Pluto in Aquarius, in human history, we don't have a reference point for that. We just go back in time as to, well, Pluto would have been around this area in the 1700s. We would have had that Aquarian age. So, you see what I mean? Like, it gets a little complicated as to, like, we really don't have like a clear cut what happens with Pluto and Aquarius when it comes to like human knowledge. We have things we can look back on and be like, well, we didn't discover Pluto at that time, but this is what was happening at that time when Pluto's around that, in that sign of Aquarius. When was that? That's a good question. I'm going to say it was the 1700s. I want to say it's when the birth of nations really started happening, including the United States. So that can give you an idea of where we're going with this conversation. When Pluto exited Capricorn and entered Pluto. I'm trying to look for those dates. Here we go. If we look at the consequences of the last transit of Pluto through Aquarius, 1777-78 to 1798, for example, it brought an end to the estate-based society. A clear separation of church and state, human and civil rights were formulated, and freedom of trade was introduced. Okay, so it wasn't necessarily the birth of the nation exactly. It looks like the birth of the nation for the United States in particular was the very, very end of Capricorn. And the very end of a sign is the sign basically at its extreme, or the indications of the sign. See, this is just theory, astrological theory. It's sort of like the kid going to the temper tantrum in order to get what he wants. And so that very end of the sign really brings up a lot of tension because it's the end of the sign trying to just do what it can to do its thing before it becomes obsolete, right? And so maybe that's how we can make sense of the birth of the nation. And then the Aquarian age was what happened once that the nation, the United States, and France was going through its own revolution during the Aquarian age once it transitioned officially into that. So knowing that where Pluto was during that time, the last time it was in Aquarius, and looking at things now, we're looking at a couple of things. First, we need to look back at the last 20 years of Pluto and Capricorn. And Pluto is the planet about death and rebirth, transformation. I love Pluto. I really do. And if we were to look at my astrology, you could understand why. So I am Sun, Moon, Gemini. The thing about Gemini is we know that this the theory, right? Gemini, we know that the peak of light in the day is coming to its end, so to say. The longest day of the year happens during that time, and we know what's coming next is the light is going to start diminishing. So we are really living it up in all the lights. And we give 0 Fs about the fear of transition. Like, we are ready for it. We can't wait to see the change that takes place, whether it brings good things, whether it brings bad things. Either way, there's something in there that we're excited about because of transformation. I also, this is a weird way to say it, want to see the world burn. And it's not like I want to see death and destruction. I want to see change that we all know is needed. And with Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn, what we were really looking at, and I'm really bringing this down to like be super broad, and you can go online and really research like what it was for Capricorn and what it will be for Aquarius, the theories of it all. But the way that I think about it and the way we're going to talk about it here is Capricorn equals power and authority. Like 6 people have authority right now, right? All the power is in their hands. That's Capricornian. Capricornian is structure. It's authority. Having power in a very centralized, pointed place. Having Pluto go from there into Aquarius, what we're looking at is transformation. And Aquarius is about distribution to the people. It's really about equality. So we're going from pointed 6 people having the power, and we're transitioning into power distributed. How do you think that's going to look? How do you think that's going to go down? Also, Aquarius is about technology. Aquarius is an air sign. Me being a double Gemini, I am like air to the extreme. If you looked at my chart, and so like this is my time to shine. It's all about ideas. Air is about ideas. It's about intellectualism. It's about mental capacity, mental ability. Aquarian is that adding in that factor of technology. So power to the people, technology. How are these 2 things going to go together? And I think we're already seeing that. The platform I'm on right now, doing this video, is YouTube, which is distributing who has a voice, which is power. Having a voice, being heard, that's power. And utilizing technology. I'm using a camera and a computer and a microphone. I've got light. Yeah, that's technology. Like this is all technology. So I'm utilizing all of those components of Aquarius in order to do my work. This is my work. So the added component of why I'm discussing it like this is because what I do, I feel like brings power to the people. And we have a very societally, a very narrow way of understanding being a human being, of living our everyday lives. And frankly, we're all getting sick of it. And there's a reason for it. If we're feeling sick of it, that means something's not right. Right? Something's not right. In fact, there's probably a lot of things that aren't right. So how do we fix that? How do we get better? I don't know about you, but I won't tolerate that. It's exhausting. And what's the point? Like, if this is what life is, then why? Why should I continue? And so with my work and what I teach through my own experiences, my own evolution in the past 5 or 6 years, which I don't think happened by accident. It is a way to usher you into the Aquarian age by bringing you the power through your own technology, your human technology. Does not require a camera, does not require a computer, does not require this microphone. Nothing electronic needed. You don't have to buy anything. So when people talk about the Aquarian age and they talk about power to the people and they talk about technology, these 2 components of Aquarius, some people are thinking AI. Some people are thinking about what are people going to do for jobs? Robots are going to take over jobs. How are people going to have power when they don't have jobs? My brain goes right to what I've learned in the past 6 years. And what I learned in the past 6 years is there's a whole different side of my life, of my capabilities, that I was completely unaware of. And when I discovered them is when I felt like I truly started to understand what my power was. And it wasn't superpowers. It wasn't like psychic is a superpower. No, it's the tools that I've had all this time that I've been distracted from, that nobody told me about, that nobody even bothered to make me aware of. And in a lot of ways, I feel like the outside world steered me away from this stuff. It's these things that filled that gap, that made me realize my own power of truth, of what truth actually was, my own power of discernment, my own power of understanding emotion as a tool. Like all these things are tools. And we're missing this toolbox. Because we're supposed to conform, we're supposed to work a job, we're supposed to be mindless and watch Netflix and doom scroll, be distracted, not getting to know the inner world that actually sets us free. I was thinking about this the other day of how badly I want to win the lottery in order to be able to really do my work and focus on it and do it the way that I want to do it. And so I was thinking about, I wish I could win the lottery so that I could have lots of money to be able to do the things that I want to do, how I want to do that. And then I was thinking, what is it that I'm going to feel once I have that money? And the word was freedom. I will feel freedom. So it's not that I want money, it's that I want freedom. And before all of this stuff, I wouldn't have gotten that far into the conversation. I wouldn't have gone that deep with what it is that I actually did want. Because I was so focused on, I need money. Well, what does money symbolize? It symbolizes freedom. And so, like, that within itself is an example of like something that we all want. We all want to win the lottery because we want money, because we want freedom. We want to feel freedom. These tools set you up for that. Is it to win the lottery? Maybe that's part of the path. It's not the destination. So this discussion about Pluto going into Aquarius, what are we going to expect? I don't know the answer to that. Astrology is giving us hints, possibly, as to what that could be. But here's the thing. What if Pluto in Aquarius isn't about what happens outside of us, but what happens inside of us? What if the power distributed isn't necessarily about money, but it's about us accessing who we really are and what we can actually do, what we're actually capable of doing? And what if accessing is our own technology? What if that's what we're accessing, really? So with that, I can get you started. We're in the Aquarian age. Let's fucking do this shit. Let's get to work. Well, my work is intended to bring you to a place of witnessing your psychic medium abilities, accessing information via observation of the imagination. The imagination holds fear, it holds fantasy, and it holds truth. It's there. In fact, the truth that you see in the imagination can be the strongest form of truth that you will ever get to know. Have you ever experienced that? Not often. Not often enough. In fact, we usually delegate our truth to what's brought to us instead of what we go investigate and look and see. And then, is that really your truth? When you're capable of looking at truth through your imagination, you really start to be able to compare truths and how you're getting truth. And then you go, oh, wait, that really isn't my truth. Or Who gave me that truth and what was their motivation? How much of truth is actually in that truth? Getting a little conspiratorial there, but that's up to you to decide if that's where you want to go with things. Like, that's your choice. That's another wonderful thing. Getting to know the psychic medium skills, you get to access a whole different reality where you're really getting to know you, ... You're really trying to find what feels good, what really feels comfortable, because you're so used to living a reality where you have to change or you have to pretend in order to make people happy who are also pretending. Like, everybody's just fucking pretending over there. Here's where you got to get real with it, or else you're not going to see things for what they actually are. You're not going to see that truth. If you can't see truth, then you're perceiving fear or you're perceiving fantasy, which is kind of a place of fear. Maybe it is. I didn't even check to see if this is recording. Oh, yeah, you're fucking right. This is 26 minutes. I don't know how I do this every time. I feel like I was on a thread there and I kind of lost that a little bit. I know I was talking about the psychic mediumship. And there's also that intuition. This is also part of my work. I'm bringing it back. Here we go. My work is intended to bring you to a place of discerning your tool of intuition. This is your inner guide for decision making. You experience it through sensation. I'm in the heart, in the gut, up in here. Sensation as well as emotion. These things are vital pieces of information that tell you where to go next and how much it's going to suck or how awesome it's going to be. Either way, it's getting you somewhere. Evolution is happening. It can happen. That's your choice. Or you can stay put and then fate's going to come along and give you a bunch of shit that you're not ready to deal with. And then you're suffering. You don't have to suffer. In a lot of ways, you choose suffering. That's debatable, right? That's a truth for you to define. My work is intended to bring you to a place of discovering and moving towards your life purpose, what inspires you, what you create, what you give to the world. Working your purpose allows for what we're all really trying to look for. You know, when we talk about winning the lottery, winning all this money, having freedom, it's not freedom for now, right? It's freedom for life. That's what we want. We want consistency and longevity of feeling good. Working your life purpose is what invests in that and keeps it going and makes it consistent. It's a big deal. You want to know what that is, don't you? You probably already know, and there's just so much doubt wrapped up in it. Maybe some embarrassment too. So let's just touch real quick on a couple of marketing points so that maybe you get a chance to chat with me if you need to in your journey. And then we'll get to how to do the psychic mediumship piece. I'm going to go over some of the intuition and the life purpose stuff, just because I'm getting so anxious to get started on that stuff. Okay. My mission is to teach you what I've discovered. This wasn't an overnight thing. The spiritual awakening felt like an overnight thing, but having this stuff grounded in my truth, in my logic, in my reality, that stuff took about a year for me to have lots of experiences, to document, to really go out of my comfort zone and do things with other people, experiment with other people, which is really fucking scary. But it's what led me to, this is my truth. This is my purpose. This is me moving forward and knowing, I know what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I'm doing it right now. And I'm going to do it in a couple days, probably another video. I don't do it often enough. And that's one of the reasons why I have to touch on this part here. I've yet to win the lottery. But you're a psychic medium. Yeah, but I'm tied to the outcome. So that makes it difficult. But you can help me with my mission by donating on Patreon. Link is in the description. You can purchase my Soul Ability Discovery Workshop e-course, which is something you can just do on your own time and at your own pace, and really teaches you about that psychic medium component. It does touch on intuition as well. And it's much more in depth than what I do in the videos here. It's a way for you to get started on your journey in a more in-depth way than I can do in these videos, but not so in-depth that like it's a one-on-one with me. But that is an option as well. You can go to nextgenmedium.com and sign up for mentoring. I can do one-offs for people that are just experiencing things and have a couple questions. But I also do longer multi-week, multi-month programs where you have a partner in the process, someone who's steps ahead of you, someone that really does care about this amazing transformation. And it brings my energy up to be able to work with people that want to do this stuff. Like, that's my purpose, is to help you with that. nextgenmedium.com. Please like and subscribe to this channel and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm trying to be better with Instagram. I'm on TikTok too. Okay, here's the deal. I'm used to the Facebook world, and I recently deleted it from my phone because I just can't stand it anymore. So I'm trying out Instagram, and I have to say, like, every time I go on there, it's a video every single time. And it's so overwhelming to me to be on social media. Like, this I can deal with. But when it comes to, like, there's videos and there's sound and I have to pay attention, and there's, I don't know. There's something about it that's just so overwhelming for me that I have a really hard time with it all. But I'm really trying with Instagram. So I think I'm really going to put more effort into Instagram. So if there's any of the socials, like, go do that one. But these things, donating on Patreon or purchasing my e-course, I think it's like $19.99. It's not even that much money. Or signing up for the mentoring. These things work my purpose and will help you along getting into this Aquarian age, getting into that theme of understanding your own power and your own technology. It's just amazing. I can sort of remember hearing about what the Aquarian age was, Pluto in Aquarius, what that was going to be about. And when I heard the words power distributed to people and technology, that's when my antenna was like, it's our own fucking technology. This is the stuff you don't have to buy. This is the stuff you got to explore, and you got to find someone who knows how to explore it. And I was like, that's what I do. That's me. So, yeah, check that stuff out. Like and subscribe as well. Let's talk about how to do the process of psychic mediumship exploration. So I talk about the imagination, and what's really difficult for us nowadays is being able to focus inward. We don't know how to do that. That's why when I go through Instagram and I'm scrolling and I'm just like, oh my God, it's so many things. My attention is not acclimated to that amount of sensory stealing. I feel like it's taking so much from me that it's really hard for me to take it, to be on it for a little bit. It's really difficult. And maybe that's something you can take into consideration in your own experience of like how you deal with social media. Are you one of those people that's constantly looking through, and you're looking to explore this side of your life? Well, that stuff is just, it's going to become overwhelming the more you integrate into that soul self, that soul reality that's sort of missing in your life. And so that maybe that can be a gauge for you as you're moving through this stuff. But it really requires you to really be able to shut off the outside stimulus. We're not geared to do that. We're not taught to do that. We're actually encouraged not to do that. And that's a problem. So this is probably the hardest part of this process for anybody wanting to get into this. And you're a doom scroller, or you're constantly watching videos, you're constantly on Netflix, you're constantly having your attention and your brain being hijacked by something or someone else. This is going to be the hardest part because it's going to be really boring and too quiet and not stimulating enough. And some people can't get past this part. We're so jacked up on our dopamines that we don't understand a life without that. I am going through this process right now of my own where I quit vaping. I'm actually smoking again. But I cut out nicotine for about a month. And now I'm in a place where I'm thinking about cutting out caffeine. The reason why isn't because I'm like, what's the next thing I'm going to do to heal my body and heal my energy? But no, that is not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I have really bad acid reflux that's making me really concerned. At first, I thought I was having heart problems. I have to be honest. But now I'm realizing that it has to do with like my esophagus. So I'm realizing caffeine, or coffee in particular, is probably the culprit here. And so I actually did a good job yesterday and really didn't have any coffee or caffeine. I actually went decaf with tea. And my esophagus felt a lot better. Today I'm drinking coffee and guess what? It hurts. It's because of pain that I am trying to cut these stimulants out because I'm addicted to that stuff too. And there's something going on with my body where things are expressing themselves, and it's kind of putting me in a place of fear and concern for my physical well-being. Is it the universe helping me try to cut these things out of my life in order to really focus and be able to do my work? Maybe. People who wouldn't subscribe to this stuff could be like, no, you just got a lot of acid reflux, you're stressed and your body's responding to that. But okay, yeah, that's true too. Is it interwoven? I don't know. So I totally understand that aspect of like, but my brain's addicted to dopamine and serotonin and blah, blah, blah. That's what social media does to our brains. I get it. And that's one of the reasons why I deleted Facebook and Reddit, which Reddit is like my jam. But I will go through there and I will spend time on there. And then there will come a point where I go, this is boring. Like, this is not me doing my work. This is not as exciting to me as other things I could be doing that I'm putting off because I'm doing this, you know. That's my own story, and that's my own truth at this time. Like, I'm a human being too, which is probably the reason why I won't ever be like going and doing like retreats and like doing things with Eckhart Tolle, or who are the cool people doing this? Who's that guy? Aubrey Marcus. He's got one of those names. It's two first names. Tony Robbins, I think is like, I just don't see myself being in there because I'm just too real about my situation. I don't know. But that's like, power to the people, like distribution. This is real life. This is normal. This is normal to have these problems. But it can also be normal to be able to access the imagination where it's a place of truth. How do you do that? Let's get back to this, right? To the process. You got to close your eyes. You got to take your deep breaths, 3 of them in and out. And this just quiets the mind. That's all we're doing here. We're trying to get your attention to you. Once you're in that place, we're going to start bringing your focus to different parts of your body. You're going to start at your toes. And you're going to do a mind exercise of just focusing on the feeling in your toes as if you're moving through your body in your body. What does that mean? Don't get intellectual. Just take that and interpret it and just go with this, okay? Start at your toes. What do your toes feel like? Wiggle them. Move up to your ankle. What does that feel like? Move up to your calf. And you're going to go through every point in your body. And what we're doing here is just getting you in that place of focusing inside. We're also trying to get your brain into a place of being able to get out of critical thinking mode and just experiencing mode. Lazy brain. Observation. Okay? We need to get you out of those higher frequency brainwaves into lower ones. And this is how we're doing that. You essentially are getting into a hypnotic state. That's what we're doing. So you work your way up the body, you get to the top of your head. Okay? And one way you can end this exercise is actually imagining the feeling of being tapped on the top of the head, like something's pressing down. Some people even feel what's called like a halo around the crown. And once you feel that presence, you know you're ready to move on to visualizing your psychic mediumship stuff. Psychic mediumship. Psychic is seeing stuff from the past, seeing stuff that's going on now, seeing stuff that's happening in the future. So it's got that time element. It also has a place element. So what was going on Broadway in 1936? Give it a date. I want to see what was happening at that time. Okay? What's going on? I want a remote view what's going on in New York City on Broadway at this point in time right now with my mind, my imagination. Psychic in the future. I want to know what's going to happen on Broadway in New York City 3 weeks from now at 10 o'clock a.m. What's happening there? Okay. Mediumship, talking to dead people. Okay. I want to talk to my husband's grandfather who's passed. I want him to give me information. We're going to have a conversation. He's a great talker. That's something to consider when you are thinking about who am I going to talk to when I talk to a dead person. Think about who can carry a conversation. How does that translate? Like, what does that mean? Why would I pick somebody that can talk really good and like carry their own conversation? There's a couple ways to think about this, and this is theoretical, and this is the truth for you to discover for your own reality. One way to think about it is if people die and characteristics and traits of them carry on after their passing, being a talkative person would be something that would be great in order to get information from. If they're super quiet and shy, that's going to be really hard to get information from that person, right? So there's one theory. If their traits carry on after they die, how is that going to help you in this circumstance of wanting to find truth? Is that your intention when you go here? That's going to be our intention for now. I'm assigning you that. Your intention is that when you do this meditation, because that's what you're doing, you're going to find truth of your ability. You're going to find that truth through artifacts that are shown to you visually, that are going to be felt emotionally, that are going to be felt sensationally with your body. You're going to have a knowing, that's claircognizance. Things are just going to drop in your head as to objects, situations, happenings. Okay? Maybe you're going to smell, taste, whatever. All the senses give you artifacts, give you information. That information can be found in this physical world as truth. You got to find that. You got to find those sources of truth. Okay? Theory number 2 with the mediumship. And I'm getting too deep with this. God damn it. Wouldn't it be easier for you to buy into the fact that I knew this person as a talkative person? It'd be easier for you to buy into that they would continue to be a talkative person and that they are capable of giving you the information you need. It's that placebo thing, mind over matter. So there's 2 different theories here. And I could go more into like my own theories of mediumship, which might contradict a lot about how people talk about mediumship. But that's your truth to discover. Okay? I'm just going to give you something to go by. Okay. So your intention of being in that space, of opening the curtain, you feel the sensation on your head. Okay. 3, 2, 1, we're opening the curtain. I'm a visual person. That's automatically where I go. I see things. I'm observational in the sense of eyeballs in my brain. I brain balls. Okay. But other people hear things. Other people know things that pop in. And while you're going through this experience, which is going to be brand new to you or relatively new, it's unfamiliar territory. You're going to go, I'm making this up. This isn't real. Blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up and just watch what happens. Okay? And just take it in. Just take it in. Who cares? Just take it in. What are you going to lose? Just go with it. Just explore. This is a time to get to know this space. And if you walk out and you don't know if any of that was truth, first of all, go find what you can to see if you can compare information so you can see if there is truth in what you experienced. 1. 2, you don't know this space, so if you walk away with nothing being truth, at least you exercised exploring that space. Because the more often you go there, the more that truth can be seen and revealed. You need to kind of open it up. You need to allow for that to expand. You're working a muscle, right? We do it with our bodies. You don't have a muscle there? Well, you got to put the time and the effort and the energy in order for the body to build that muscle. And that's exactly what you're doing with the imagination. You're not used to the imagination being a place of truth. You got to grow that muscle. Okay? You also have to prove it. That's where you get the trust of this. And that's when you start seeing the separate reality. Boom, boom. Oh my God. I have something to compare this shitty reality to. Now I know why this reality is shitty. Now I understand its shittiness. And I can actually pinpoint why it's shitty. When you're done with that exercise, you come out of your meditation, you write down every artifact you came across. Again, artifacts are the pieces of information. I call them artifacts because I think of it like you're going on an archaeology dig. You got a shard of pottery. Like you might not even know that it's pottery. You just know it's clay and it's a piece. And then once you get all the pieces together, it makes a piece of pottery and then you have an artifact, right? Or does that make sense? Or is it an artifact? Yeah. Okay, you get the shard, right? And then it makes a piece of something. So you have many artifacts that make up a whole artifact. You know what I mean. Okay, so write the shit down. Go find its truth. I love the idea of like the psychic thing and being able to say like, I want to visualize what happens on Sunset Boulevard in front of this salon at this particular time, and being able to access what online is there like a street camera or something online that I can access that can give me that information. And having online as a source is so amazing in this journey. You can also look up obituaries. You can also look up information about celebrities. If that's, a way you want to do mediumship, is to connect with celebrities that you might not know that much about, and then really like interview them. Hey, David Bowie, let's talk. I hear they call you the Starman. And really get to know the details of his life. And maybe you walk away going, I don't know if that's truth. I didn't know that before, but it's something that was introduced in this conversation. And then you go online and look up Wikipedia. Maybe you have to dig even deeper and then find the thing that made you go, is that reality? And then to see, did he mention this here? You might not get the answer. And that's part of the journey. Unfortunately, that is a permanent part of the journey. Expectations are difficult in this realm, I will say. Don't ever go in going, I'm going to get truth. Because then you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, especially when you're first starting out. Just go in for the journey. It's all curiosity. Fuck it. Let's see what happens. So that's the intuition portion, or the psychic portion. The intuition portion. The way that I guess I'll talk about it in this video, because it's almost an hour in. Intuition. When you sense intuition, I like to think of intuition as I'm having a conversation with my higher self. And the way that we talk is through sensation and emotion. What I get with my psychic medium stuff, that isn't conversation with the higher self. That's more of a stream of information. That's how I think of that. Intuition, I think of it as, this is the language I have with my higher self. And it's through sensation in my chest and my gut, and through the emotions that I feel. And that's how the intuition talks to you. So when something happens and I feel something happen emotionally and sensationally in my body, sometimes you won't maybe necessarily have a sensation. Either way, there's information being communicated. This takes a little bit of a journey for you, because fear has hijacked a lot of this conversation. And it's fear that really fucks up how you are guided by your intuition, because you learn to not trust your intuition, because fear has just completely obliterated how this communication works. And so this takes work to really understand, and is more of this is what I would be doing one-on-one with people, is really understanding sort of. And you know what, this is stuff you talk about with a shrink, because this is inner child work is what this is. But understanding that there's an intuition portion that existed before you got fucked up as a kid, and exists now. Got fucked up as a kid. Exists now, even with that fear stuff in place. Like, you can still discern that. It's just much more difficult. It makes things less clear cut than they used to be, and that they were intended to be. And that's one of the reasons why we are in the situation where we're in, because we got disconnected from that intuition piece. And it has to do with our social structure of humanity, how that's come in to make you someone you're not, to make you pretend, and for everybody else to pretend. Okay. But when it comes to intuition, the idea is when you feel it in your heart and you feel inspired, that is all systems go. That's what's leading you to that God self, to that higher self living, to that person you are meant to be. Because that person you are meant to be is someone that feels good. It's the emotion of feeling good. That's what you are meant to experience as often as possible. When you are feeling a reaction that gets in the gut, this is where fear is really taking place. And then we have to start discerning. We have to start getting logical with it. And we're not used to getting logical when we have an emotional response. That is just not even how we do things. And this is a part of really getting into the issues with our intuition is we are not emotionally mature. And because we're so stunted, we don't know what the next steps are in order to clear this fear out of our processing and really get us to a place of being in line with intuition so that when it works, it's almost an instantaneous process of intuition talks and I do. For most of us, intuition talks and we get excited and then fear comes in because we don't think that's who I am. I can't do that because I'm not capable of doing that. I don't have the funds to do that, all this other stuff. But the fact of the matter is feeling that excitement, that's the first step to getting to you. And all that shit that comes after, that emotion that brings you down, that's the story. That's the bias. That's the inner child's suffering. The only way to get past that is to work with that excitement. Why was I excited about that? It's because it inspires me. And that's when we go into life purpose. And the 3 things I got to say about that, it's a very simple formula. What is your life purpose? Your life purpose is something you develop with time. It's something that you overcame probably in the first third of your life. And I say that, but I would say like by the time you're a teenager, something's happened that you had to transform and overcome. Then you write down a bunch of words that have to do with that. What was it about? What was the transformation? How did that change you? Maybe even align it with a place in your body, which is really weird to say. And the reason why I say that is because I go right to chakras with stuff. I go, are we talking about survival? Are we talking about belonging? Are we talking about identity? Are we talking about your heart, like emotions? Are we talking about your voice? Are we talking about your intelligence? Are we talking about your connection with everybody and everything? And so like maybe that list will help narrow down even more. How was I changed? And how you were changed is a place to start off with what is my purpose? Because your purpose is how am I helping people? How am I going to help people? And there's a special way that you're going to do that nobody else can. And there's enough room for everybody in whatever way that is that relates to other people. But the fact is that you're the only person that can do it the way that you do it. And there's lots of people out there that need that. The formula. What inspires your brain? What gets you excited? Something drops in your head and you're like, oh, fuck yeah. Inspired thought. Next step, inspired action. Inspired thought makes you do what? Like, what's your next course of action? Where do you automatically go? An excellent example of this in my last life was being a songwriter, writing songs. So I would get, it kind of worked a couple different ways. So one would be I would sit down with an instrument. Like I chose, this is the time that I want to write a song. It could have been guitar, it could have been piano. And I start banging out a couple chords. And once I hear a combination that worked, boom, inspired thought. This is it. This is the music that I'm going to be creating right now. And I used to write songs very linearly. So, and I had a formula to it, very Green Day. You've got the first verse. Well, first you got the intro, you got the first verse, you've got the pre-chorus, you got the bridge, you got the second verse. Like, I was very formulated with that. So I could write it linearly where, okay, this is where this music's going to be. Now it's time for the verse. With the verse comes the lyrics. All right, what words are coming to my brain? And so it worked in tandem where it'd be inspired thought, inspired action. Inspired thought creates inspired action. And it would weave and it would eventually create inspired thought. I want to write a song. Inspired action. I wrote a fucking song. Delivering it is the third step. Delivering it to people. You got to give it away. You got to give it. And so I'd record the song. I would publish it and then release it to the world. And that was me doing my work. Also, going out and playing shows, releasing it into the world. That's the only way that people would hear my music. Nobody came to me to hear my music. I'd have to go play my music. And so there's this thought that pops into the head, and that's being connected with this source, right? God, whatever. This is all theory. This is my theory. And people, you're going to develop your own theory about that. And that's awesome because we all should be developing our own theories. You get the thought, you put it into action. Like there's something that happens where you have this idea and now you need to put your energy, your frequency all up in that shit. And then you got to give it. Which requires other people. And that's probably the scariest thing for people, right? Give it to other people. So what is this thing? It gets you excited. It inspires you. You feel embarrassed about it sometimes. Maybe people don't know about it. Don't know that about you. It gets you scared when maybe you start planning how you're going to deliver. I'm feeling that right now because I'm thinking about doing workshops. I'm thinking about doing speaking events. And I get really lost in the details and then I start freaking out about details. And I also build expectations that are like, oh, well, I got to do a PowerPoint and the PowerPoint's got to have all this information, blah, blah, blah. And then I get so overwhelmed that I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm scared. And again, I'm a human being. I know the process. I know the steps, but I still have these emotional hangups. And I understand that I am a lifelong project of my own. That's living your purpose. The whole point of that purpose, it starts with that inspired thought where, just imagine what that feels like, having that inspiration strike. What is that? Oh my God, I love that feeling. That is the feeling I live for. I love that feeling. Every day I want to feel that. Every day. And then there's that inspired action. So while you're doing the thing that inspires you, another example would be, my husband hates this. I love driving around and seeing furniture on the side of the road. In Maine, furniture on the side of the road means that's free and I can take it. And sometimes it's just shit. Other times I see the potential of this being a beautiful piece of furniture. I can see that I can put work and love into this, and this can be just stunning piece of art that's functional for the home. And so guess what? It gets packed up in my car, and then I come home and my husband's like, oh my God, what did you get now that you're not going to do? That's the inspired action, right? I picked it up and I brought it home. But also part of that inspired action is getting the supplies, get to sanding, which I don't have all the tools for, so I'm not prepared to follow through with the whole project. And then see it through. And then the step after that would be, I can't wait to share this and deliver this to the world, because I saw what it was going to become, and it became what it did. And it's beautiful and it's functional, and someone wants this in their home. Sometimes we don't think of that delivery in that way. But you can also think of like, I put love into this. Inspired thought, inspired action. That's love. That's the frequency of love. Inspired is love to me. That's my love language. And you're delivering that to people. They're bringing that into their home. They're bringing love into their home. Like, how great is that? That's how we should all be doing it. Having a world with that manufactures stuff and hands basically don't touch things. What are you bringing into your home? That's not love. And maybe that's a part of that Aquarian age of distributing power to the people, is that we choose things differently. We make different choices because maybe we start understanding things a little differently. Okay. I think that's it for my video. Another long ass, huge video that's going to take forever to upload to YouTube. But again, thank you for watching. I hope you got lots of information out of this. And this is the stuff I love to talk about. So please like and subscribe if this is the kind of stuff you want, because you know what? It's so easy for me to be like, no, not doing a video today because nobody's watching. Or why should I continue to do these videos if nobody's going to watch? It's true. That's truly the words that go through my head. And then there's a part of me that's like, but I really want to do this stuff. I do want this stuff. I want this stuff in my life because I want to be able to do my job. And right now, this is one of the only ways that I can do that. And it feels good to do it. And I want to feel good. Just like you do. And you can help me out by donating on my Patreon, link in the description. You can purchase my Soul Ability Discovery Workshop, which is an e-course. Go at your own pace. I think it's $19.99. I think it's accessible for like 4 weeks. And I know there's some people that it might take a week for them to really get through it. Maybe they want to go at a slower pace and take a couple weeks. So that works up for people. Plus, it just gets you started on getting to work in a much more in-depth way than I can do with these videos. But if you're the kind of person where you want one-on-one attention, I can give that to you. Go to nextgenmedium.com and sign up for some mentoring. Again, like and subscribe to my channel. And follow me on the Insta and the Facebook. Yeah, because what I post on Instagram can be moved right over to Facebook. I also have TikTok, which just overwhelms me. I cannot stand it. But if that's the way that you want to do things, then I can probably do that too. Let me know. Is it worth me doing videos for TikTok? Also, what should I do on TikTok? Like, what can I do on TikTok? I don't get it. I have to admit, I've gotten really lazy with social media just because I just haven't seen it work for me. So it's kind of like, well, maybe I should open it up to you guys. What do you want from those? Because let me tell you what, when I'm going through Instagram and I'm seeing all the shit they're throwing at me with their algorithm, right? It's all inspirational quotes. It's all like some guru saying their piece of truth that's like, okay. And it's just like overwhelming positivity that is just kind of like irritating to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only... Because it's like, we don't live in a world where it's like, I wake up and I open the curtains and man, I'm so glad to be alive. Maybe there will be a day when I can understand what that is. And maybe I can really exude that as an authentic me. But when I'm seeing that shit on Instagram, I'm just like, come on now. Where's the real life here? And then I see videos of English bulldogs riding skateboards, and then I'm like, okay, this is real life. This is it. This is what I've been looking for on Instagram. The latest video I saw is two English bulldogs on skateboards, and then they crash into each other. They don't get hurt, which like is part of like, oh no, that part, but but one of them gets kind of grumpy and bitches at the other like, okay. There it is. That's my video for you this week. Another huge long video, an hour and 10 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. Stick around because I like to do more videos that are more topical like this, where I can talk about fun bands. I'd love to do more of that if people care. In fact, there are Weezer songs I've come across that I feel very like a huge spiritual connection with, and I don't know if that was meant to be there or not. I don't know. Like that's a huge topic of conversation that I love to talk about, is sort of going over songs that we hear on the radio or songs that I've come across in my own collection that have like captured my spiritual attention in a way that just makes me go, oh my God, this person gets it. Or I don't know if they meant for this, but I totally see like this huge spiritual connection in this song. And actually there's a Weezer song that I've been listening to lately that has got me into that sort of like spiritual interest place. It's from their Green album. Okay. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and